Chapter 8. Niextu's vision was blurry. He couldn't make out what he was seeing. All he felt was nerve of pain on his side. He saw this light fuming as his scanner read fire, as he then tried to bring his arm close to it, with his hand, curious of this flame, but then Unknown grabbed his wrist in time, gently getting a hold of his arm.
One more inch from the fire, and your hand will melt, or, in that case, burn up, if you put your hand in there,
Unknown said in a relaxed and composed tone. He then softly let go, as the robot looked at the fire one more time, only to see his scanner say dangerous, and he backs up and hits his back against the wall, as Unknown was caught off by his reaction.
Hey, calm down. It isn't gonna hurt you, unless you go close to it. So I need you to relax, okay?
Unknown said, with his hand on the robot's shoulder. The robot turns his head at Unknown, then speaks.
We're okay.
Niextu says softly, and Unknown sat beside him.
Only one of us is okay. But more importantly, are you okay?
Unknown said, and Niextu made a robotic chirp like he refused to answer it, but ended up speaking anyway.
Right here hurts.
The robot pointed to his side. Then, Unknown was a bit stunned by what he said.
You mean, you felt that? What the reptile did to you?
Unknown said, asking in a very questionable tone, as Niextu was quiet, as Unknown looked at him, as he then leaned back while sitting beside the robot.
What you're feeling is called pain. Something you can physically and mentally feel. It only occurs because of the nerves you have inside your body.
Unknown said, pointing at the robot, and the robot slightly flinched at Unknown's finger.
Pain. Nerves.
Niextu slowly nods his head, assuring he understood what was being informed.
Yeah, all over you. From the inside.
Unknown said, pointing at his wrist. He turns to see the fire dim, as Unknown goes close to it, and then touches it with his hands, and you can see it light up a lime green flame. Then, slowly turns to its normal color. Niextu, seeing him do this, made him really fascinated about Unknown.
Does it hurt?
Niextu asked softly, as Unknown turned back.
No, not me. What you saw is something complicated to explain. But you will. Okay?
Unknown said, nodding to him, as Niextu nodded back, while trying to analyze Unknown. Scanning him didn't really do much. All it said was fire, as Niextu made another robot chirp. While Unknown and Niextu were silent, Unknown couldn't help but feel awkward being around this robot, and knowing little things about him, and his features. Unknown thought about what Netro said, about him being more than just a robot. The fact that he could sense it, feel as if this robot is more important than he thinks. Then Unknown felt a slight touch over his right shoulder, and it somewhat made him jump a little. It was Niextu leaning on him, sleeping on his shoulder, and now Unknown has seen it all. This robot can sleep, like a normal person. Unknown was now nervous, and didn't know what to do, but he calmed himself and took a deep breath. He could see that this robot feels safe around him. Is he his first comfort? Unknown wondered if this robot knows more than what he's letting on, but he doesn't want to question it. All he knows is that this robot is processing like a human would. The way he's behaving and having similar traits, and the fact that he didn't ask Netro more about what this robot was, made him feel uneducated. Then that's what truly hit him. Unknown could sense a pulse, a heartbeat, from this robot. Unknown slowly shook him a bit, trying to wake him up for answers, and the robot slowly woke up.
What are you?
Unknown asked softly as the robot looked at him, then looked down.
I don't know.
The robot said, feeling a bit low. Not knowing who he is made him feel cast down. Then Unknown tried to cheer him up.
Your name is Niextu, so that's a start.
Unknown said as the robot looked at him.
I'm the X2.
The robot said as Unknown nodded to him.
Whatever that name means, that's who you are.
Unknown said as he ignited more fire.
I didn't notice earlier because I was in fight mode. But you can express emotions and feel emotions too.
Unknown asked as NEX2 looked down.
If only I knew what those were.
NEX2 said, not comprehending what he means, as Unknown sighed a bit.
They won't make you, you.
Unknown said, as NEX2 looked at Unknown.
Me?
Hay replied as Unknown nodded.
Yes. You, me, everyone. It's best to know who you are and what you express. You're not just an ordinary robot, you know. You have these features and traits that a normal robot doesn't even have.
Unknown said, as NEX2 nodded, clearly showing signs of interest.
You're different.
Unknown said, as NEX2 repeated.
Different?
NEX2 said, tilting his head a bit.
Are you different, too?
NEX2 asked softly, as Unknown chuckled a bit.
We all are different in ways you can imagine, but that's what makes us complicated or relatable.
Unknown said, as he sat back down.
Can I ask you a question?
NEX2 said, stuttering his words a bit, feeling a little scared to ask while Unknown looked up at the ceiling of the sewer.
Yeah, ask away. It wouldn't be fair to ask all the questions, you know.
Unknown said softly, while NEX2 then spoke.
When I scanned you, after you lit the flame,
NEX2 said, trying to gather his words to form a sentence.
I couldn't see how you did that. Can I ask how were you able to do all of this?
NEX2 said, and Unknown had a small smile on his face, though you couldn't see it with his face covering on.
The sword I use. It's a divine blade. And what I did to the reptile, it's combat fighting, a martial art that I picked up called Wing Chun, mixed with an ability I have called Emotional Awakening.
Unknown said, a bit exposed, telling him his secrets.
Emotional awakening?
NEX2 said as his LED lights glowed brighter, unable to express how fascinated he is by this ability.
Yes, it's an ability based off my emotions, and my eyes changes color depending on how I feel in situations such as the fight I had with the reptile. My eyes turned white, which means I'm going beyond what my limits are, and my strength becomes tougher. And it only rises when I touch the person to absorb their strength, or when I listen to music, soul listening, like deep music, something sad. It can be any other, but enough to level out my hurts. Am I able to perform things no other has seen before? They call it core instinct, because it's an ability that allows the person to tap into their inner soul strength. Something you are powerless to do, core instinct grants you that power, the core of your mind, and the instinct to be determined to do what is right.
Unknown said, as NEX2 was so invested that he sat up straight, with his legs crossed, learning this type of power that Unknown has.
Do I have a core instinct?
NEX2 said, wondering if he himself has what it takes to be determined, while Unknown thought about what he did earlier.
You did save my life back there, and you were made by Netro. I'm pretty sure parts of him are also in you. Having a core instinct just doesn't mean powers and abilities. It's also what you can do, normally.
Unknown said, pointing towards NEX2's heart, his chest. Before NEX2 could say anything, he felt covered by Unknown's grasp, pulling him to the other way. As NEX2 was very confused to what was going on, as Unknown turned to see what appears to be someone standing there, as Unknown was ready for a fight, but then heard a worried tone. Wait, I'm not here to hurt any of you two.
Then let yourself be known, so I could be sure of it,
he said, very assertive in his tone, in a protective way, shielding NEX2 out of harm's way, as she slowly walked in the light.
A woman,
he said, as he then was calm but still aware, keeping close, not breaking any eye contact.
Who are you, and what do you want?
Unknown said, as she was already startled by trying to meet them. The name's Ivory. And how I discovered you two. I heard all the commotion. You took down those bandits, did you not? She said, introducing herself, while curious herself.
Yeah, I did. Didn't mean to cause a scene. I was only defending this little guy right here.
Unknown said, patting Niexto on the head while he made a robotic, soft chirp.
Well then, Ivory. The name's Unknown, and this is Niexto, the robot.
Unknown said, introducing himself and the robot.
To be safe, I'm gonna need to frisk you. You got any weapons I don't know about?
He said, being very assertive in his tone. No, I do not. But you're welcome to frisk me for your safety, she said, as she put her hands up while Unknown went close and frisked her. She then turned back around as Unknown looked at her.
How did you find us?
He asked. While she was a bit nervous, but she still spoke. I saw you guys go down the sewer. It's how I know, she said, fidgeting her hands. Those guys are trouble. No one was able to take those guys down besides you. It also seems like you guys aren't from here, she said, even more nervous as Unknown sat down near Niexto.
What makes you assume that?
Unknown said as she walked to them slowly. I saw this big light. It must have been from you guys, right? She said, trying to piece her words together.
I guess you're not the only person that knows this,
he said, nonchalant.
Why are you here, Ivory?
He said, feeling a bit skeptical of her presence. I wanted to see for myself what you guys were. I believe in extraterrestrial beings. I believe that there are more than one timeline, more than one universe. I never really saw things like this in my lifetime. Seeing you two here proves that theory isn't a theory anymore, but now a true fact, she said, softly, now becoming more relaxed as Unknown nodded.
You're a cosmic explorer or what?
Unknown asked, slightly interested in her hobby. I'm a professor at a university, and my class is teaching science and more, she said, as Unknown nodded, fascinated by her work.
Well, to give it to you simply, your world just got a whole lot bigger, because right now, there is a whole lot for your research,
Unknown said bluntly, just hitting her with the reality.
But right now, there is no time to play fact or fiction. This robot is a friend who fell into this universe. I need to bring him back home. Does this world have the technology to do that?
Unknown asked, as she then nodded to no, as Unknown's eyes for the first time felt more than just disappointment, as he then looked at Niexto, as he was sleeping, and put his hand on his arm.
I need to get him back home,
Unknown said, trying to feel positive and hope, his eyes filled with more determination.
Think we can figure out a way? You have proof there is now. That can help get us home.
Unknown said, but she nodded her head to no as she spoke. I'm sorry, Unknown, but this world, it does know technology, yes. There are textbooks, but to put it simply, only the rich and higher-ups opposed to such advances, while the lower class, such as us in this world, are not wealthy enough to be granted such luxury. My university barely even owns a computer. It's all textbooks and notebooks. It's really hard to explain how our society works, but just know outside of everything, it's exactly how society should be, Ivory said, as Unknown nodded, understanding the situation.
So then, how do you know all of this?
Unknown said, as she then looked down. Done my fair share of illegal activities too, you know. I don't like how these higher-ups get the best while we sit here praying for nurturing to come, so I did my own digging, and I used that to teach my students about what they need to know, she said, as Unknown nodded, smirking underneath his face covering.
Well, Ivory, then me and you are a pair. What do you say? Care to team up with me? Get this little robot home? I'm asking you for help. Can you help me and Niextu?
Unknown said bluntly, as she then thinks for a bit. We're getting into some deep shit, I'm telling you. Your world is about to get bigger as well, she said, with a determined look on her face. But before we get into all that, let's get you guys out of here. I have a place for you guys to lay low, she said, in a soft tone. Then Niextu peeked his head out from the side behind Unknown. How did such technological thing ended up here? She asked, curious in a mindful way. Niextu chirping, making robot sounds, as Unknown looked at him, then back at her. He touched his head, playing around with them, while Niextu was quiet.
Turns of events speak for themselves,
Unknown said, while Niextu was silent, as Unknown lifted him up as they both get ready to follow Ivory.
You said something about seeing a light. Perhaps more are coming. And if what you're saying is true, then I need you to get us out of here right now.
Unknown said with an alerted tone.
Those reptiles wanted him for their own gain. Perhaps more are on their way for the same thing. But why aren't you?
Unknown said, questioning her morality.
Everyone wants something out of situations similar to what we're dealing with,
Unknown said, as he was still guarded by her approach. Is she lying or telling the truth? Unknown looked into her eyes to find any deceiving, trying to detect any sort of ambush or betrayal, but he couldn't. You have every right to question me. I don't know you, and you don't know me. I guess I never really gave it much thought on what I wanted. But I do know that, whatever you're protecting, they can't get their hands on it, Ivory said, assertive in her voice, but also a bit of worry. They either will kill that, or use it for experiments. The higher-ups will do whatever it takes to make sure our class doesn't have any sort of higher advanced technology, Ivory said, as Unknown looked at Niextu, and his eyes sparked blue, as he then shook it off while Niextu listening to this, but not understanding what's going on.
Alright then. Get us out of here, and we can talk more,
Unknown said, as Unknown looks at Niextu.
And you, no matter what, you stay close to me, understand? These people, they're dangerous. You can't trust no one. Not right now. You are not safe. From here on out, I will do everything in my power to get you home,
Unknown said to him, as Niextu then looked at him, and then was about to sob, as Unknown's eyes widened, as he never knew that Niextu had the ability to cry, as Unknown spoke.
Hey, don't cry. I'm just trying to.
Unknown said, sort of embarrassed as Ivory tapped him on the shoulder. I think you should let me handle that, if that's okay with you, Ivory asked, softly as Unknown let her try.
I wasn't emotional help anyway,
Unknown said, still embarrassed. I never seen a robot up close before. This is so exciting, she said, chuckling a bit, feeling nervous herself but still spoke. Hey, it's okay. Everything will be okay. Those bad guys won't get ya, and if they do, I'm pretty sure your friend has your back. So, why don't we head to my place? Make sure that doesn't happen. What do you say? She said, softly talking to him like a toddler. Niextu looked at her, and gave it a second thought, and he smiled.
Okay.
The robot said, as Unknown was relieved, as he then looked at her.
You're really good,
Unknown said, as she chuckled. Before I taught university, I was a kindergarten teacher. Kids will always need nurturing. I did my best to help them, she said, as Unknown nodded.
I thank you for that,
Unknown said, as they then get a move on out of the sewers. While on the drive to Ivory's safe haven, Unknown was looking out the window. He then thought of something, then spoke.
I forgot to ask an important question,
He said, curious.
What year is it? You got a month? Time? Year?
He asked, and Ivory looked at him. You won't believe it, but it's September 13th, 3019, she said, so casually, and Unknown was very shocked, very speechless with what she said.
You mean to tell me the year is 3019?
Unknown said, unable to believe it himself. Let me just say, our civilization started very late in the world. And once the higher-ups discovered technology, they shut us out. They built their own economy, their civilization, and left us to fend for ourselves. It's a good thing we were able to sustain some stability, but even that is getting harder to come by. I just thought you should know, she said, as her words were a bit emotional. You see that big giant wall? That huge fucking place? Ivory said, pointing. And Unknown looked and saw what appears to be an ice wall. And Unknown looked back at her.
Is there a way in?
Unknown said, almost immediately. She laughed in a sarcastic way. Ha! Ha! That's the thing. It's not a wall. It's covered in ocean. To get in means to getting a boat. And even then you have nothing but guards surrounding the place. On the other side, it's a continent, higher and more advanced than this place, which is also surrounded by ocean. Ivory said, addressing the problem. Unknown stood quiet, understanding their situation. Universe 842003. Their Earth is controlled by higher-ups, and it's the year 3019. And a regular month? A September? This world was out of the ordinary, he thought, but was also questioning it. A world with half technology, and to get higher technology, it's on the other side of an ice wall? He knew that if he wanted to get Niextu home, he would have to do whatever it takes to do that. While on the drive to her place, he turned around and saw Niextu just mimicking his position, and then he spoke.
Were you just like that the whole time?
Unknown said, as Niextu just looking at him. She pulled into her drive-thru, and Niextu realized they stopped moving. He chirped and pouted. While they went inside, Ivory looked at them both. Make yourselves at home, but make sure the lights aren't used as much. Would hate to have to spend more money on what I can barely afford, she said in a jokingly way. And you, Niextu, is it okay if I take a look at you? She asked, as Unknown stopped her halfway.
For what?
Unknown asked. For research, if that's okay with you. Ivory politely asked, as Unknown looked at Niextu.
She wants to examine you. Make sure you're okay. You took a hit pretty badly. She's gonna make sure you're okay.
Unknown said to him, as she looked at Unknown talking to Niextu like a toddler, and Unknown looked back up at her.
What? Did I mess up the delivery? Just make sure he's okay.
Unknown said, letting her take lead on Niextu, as she laughed.
Okay.
Niextu said, looking around a bit confused. While he was taken into her small lab in the living room, Unknown looked around and seen that she wasn't wrong when she said that she's done a lot of illegal things to get her hands on technology. And the fact that she's a professor, he had to trust her on her word. While examining Niextu, she looked at Unknown speechless and very surprised. You said this robot is a friend, so who made him, if you don't mind me asking? She asked, very astounded, but also aware in case she's pushing over the boundary.
That would be his creator, Netro, a friend of mine, that asked me for help to get him back.
Unknown replied. Well, your friend, he is an artist. How was he able to construct something so advanced such as this? This robot, he is a living organism. The way he's presented is robotic-like, but he's alive, breathing, functioning like a human. This is beyond the comprehension of the soul. You're telling me your friend was able to construct a robot with no soul, but is very much lifelike. How is this possible? She asked, very thunderstruck by this. Even Unknown had thoughts and questions about this earlier, but to his knowledge, he doesn't have a clue to how Netro did this. How was he able to imitate life in such a way?
Even I have no understanding to how he did this. All I know is that this robot is extremely important to him, and I honestly now am starting to understand why.
Unknown said, as he thought about the mental breakdown that Netro had when they were both talking in southern China. Ivory nodded understanding, while Unknown was thinking. Well, to break it down for you, it explains why he doesn't talk as much. He is like a little kid. You have to help him gather his words and sentences. And the more he is taught these things, the better he grows and learns, she said, turning her chair towards Unknown. Which means he will copy what you do, so you have to be careful, she said, as Unknown remembered that NEX2 copied him in the car.
That explains why,
Unknown said, as he then thought to himself, then looked at her.
You said that you used to teach kindergarten. Can you help him learn a few words and expand his robotic brain? Please?
Unknown said, not enjoying the fact that he's asking for help. She chuckled. Of course, he'll learn to be able to speak within a couple weeks, she said softly. Just know the process will take some time, or much faster. Until then, you guys need to stay out of sight. And I'll also do some more research on that ice wall for you guys too, she said, while Unknown gently fist bumped her shoulder.
Hey, we're in this together. We'll figure out a way to get into that so-called ice wall,
Unknown said, very determined. Then, while they were occupied, they then heard a knock on the door, and it startled Ivory and Unknown.